let's talk about the business strategy game. It's this awesome simulation where teams go head-to-head, running a company in a virtual marketplace. Now, every single decision you make, how much to spend on marketing, what to do with production, it can either lead you to total domination or, a pretty spectacular failure. So how did the winners get so far ahead? Well, we're going to dive in and find out. And boom, after weeks of battling it out, here are the final results. I mean, just look at this scoreboard. This is not a gentle slope, my friends. It's a cliff. Way up at the top, you've got A company with an incredible score of 111. And then all the way down at the bottom, there's I company, just barely hanging on with 60. What on earth caused a gap that huge? Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? A staggering 51-point difference. Why? I can tell you it wasn't just a string of bad luck. This was all about strategy. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what separated the winners from, well, everybody else. Okay, so first things first, let's get inside the winner's circle. We're going to take a close look at the top two teams, A Company and Gravitate, and basically reverse engineer their playbook to see what put them miles ahead of the competition. So what was their secret sauce? Honestly, it boils down to two words: integrated strategy. Now that might sound like just another business buzzword, but it's not. It's this core idea that every single piece of your business, your marketing, your operations, your finances, they aren't just doing their own thing. No, they're all perfectly in sync, all pushing toward the exact same goal. And here's a perfect example of how A Company made that happen. It's so logical when you see it laid out. Step 1, it all started with building a really high-quality product. Then, with that solid foundation, their marketing wasn't just empty hype. It was a promise they could actually back up. And the glue holding it all together? Strict financial discipline, making sure every single move was actually profitable. And you start to see this shared DNA among the top companies. They were obsessed with financial discipline. I'm talking about key metrics like earnings per share, that's just profit per share, and return on equity, which is a fancy way of saying how well they used their investors' money. They picked a strategy and they stuck to it for the long haul. Their marketing had real substance behind it, and their operations, they ran like a well-oiled machine. So we've seen what success looks like, but, sometimes you learn even more from the mistakes. So now, let's flip the coin. We need to look at the three big strategic traps that the struggling companies fell right into, one by one. All right, trap number 1. This is probably the most common pitfall of them all: throwing a ton of money at advertising without having the product quality to back it up. It's the classic mistake, right? All sizzle and no steak. You're making these loud promises that your product just can't keep. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. The winners, like A Company and Gravitate, they used marketing to shine a big spotlight on a product that was already excellent. The losers, though, they were stuck in this trap of just pumping more and more money into ads for a mediocre product. And the result was totally predictable: wasted cash and absolutely no real growth. Okay, the second trap was a total failure to manage the fundamentals. We're talking about inefficient operations and pretty much zero cost control. See, these companies might have been focused on making sales, but they forgot a crucial rule. Sales without profit is just a really, really fast way to go out of business. And again, look at this contrast. The top firms were lean and mean. They ran efficient production lines and kept a super tight grip on their costs. The bottom firms, they were just plagued by high costs and waste. And that inefficiency just bled their profits dry. It didn't matter how many units they were selling. And the final trap is a little more subtle, but it's just as deadly. We'll call it the strategy drift. This is what happens when a company has no clear long-term vision. Instead, they just react, zigzagging from one decision to the next, never building any real momentum or a solid competitive advantage. And this, right here, might be the most crucial difference of all. The winners, they played the long game. They picked a lane, whether it was premium quality or being the cheapest, and they absolutely owned it. The losers, though, they suffered from a total lack of focus. By constantly changing their strategy, they never got known for anything, which left customers confused and their competitors totally unchallenged. Okay, so we've seen the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Now, let's take all of that and distill it into a simple, powerful formula that you can actually use, whether you're in the simulation or, leading a team in the real world. Honestly, this slide is your cheat sheet. This is the entire game in one little table. For strategy, the winner's playbook is integrated and consistent. The loser's trap is being reactive and just drifting. For marketing, winners support it with a great product. Losers just overspend. And for operations and finance, winners are efficient and they prioritize profit. Losers are too busy just chasing sales. It really is that simple. Look, if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. True success is not about getting bigger. It's about creating real value. Chasing growth just for the sake of growth is a recipe for disaster. Because at the end of the day, things like profitability and return on equity, that's the real test of a winning strategy. So I'll just leave you with this final question. I want you to look at your own strategy for your business, for a project, maybe even for your career. Are all the pieces working together in harmony like a symphony? Or is it just a bunch of noise? Because in the end, that's the difference between a strategy that's built to win and one that's designed to fail.